extremely important to you? My mother-in-law was like my mother. Again, I had a very challenging relationship with my birth mom, but my mother-in-law was like my mom. I loved her like no other. And I took care of them in my home for over a year, and on her deathbed, before she quit talking, she had 2 daughters and 2 sons. I'm married to one of the youngest son. She asked the second to the oldest daughter, which is like my sister, to give me her diamond necklace. It was just a pendant, small little pendant diamond necklace. You can't understand those. I mean, you can. Those touching moments that happen like that, that's a story all in itself. And the daughter handed me this necklace and said, Mom wanted you to have this because you were like her daughter. And Lois was her name, and she grabbed my hand. She goes, I love you, Sue. You're like my daughter. And that was pretty much close to the last thing that she said. Wow. The story that woman left, she left such strength and such determination to live a challenging life with some health issues. She didn't write a book. She was one of the best cooks, and that's one of the women that taught me how to cook. I've got her handwritten recipes everywhere in my cookbooks. Many of these recipes in my book are that. That's her story. What's your story? Some of your favorite authors. Have you taken those books and earmarked them and wrote in them? You know, maybe your kids won't give them all away. Maybe they will. Maybe somebody else will be blessed. You know, those are the things that what do you want to leave? So I'm going to open it up if you guys are comfortable. I want to ask you what maybe even drew you to come in to here and listen to this. Do you have a story to tell? Have you questioned maybe how could I tell a story? Do you have any questions that you'd like to ask a person that has wrote stories?
I'll speak up. My mother was an oral historian, so she told the stories, you know, and so I want to be able to write them down so that the next generations, and when you think of something you've been given that, I have a recipe that is from a concept called Ting Town that was the first drive-in restaurant on the Iron Range, you know, and it kind of speaks to my heart. Like, the whole Iron Range would like to have my recipe. And it's in every recipe book I've ever looked at, the Ting Tone recipe. And I look and I go, no. And it's just fun for me to go, no, that's not it. But I think I just feel called on to say, this is a lot that needs to be encapsulated to put on, because they had such a full, entrepreneurish, struggling, you know, that type of thing. Like my great-grandfather, his parents died of typhoid fever when he was little, and when he had to go work in the lumber camps, because I don't think there was any other place to work, when he was 7. You know, and he was a cook's helper and water boy, and lived a logging life his whole life. And just that alone to me is amazing to survive that.
Yeah.
So anyway, I just really, and I think I want to speak from his voice.
Have you started writing anything?
I haven't in my head.
Okay.
You know, I want to go back to the Forest History Center this summer because it's a logging camp and get some more of the details and, you know, but.
Well, you know, and I appreciate you sharing that, because it is this history of your family. Because there was a secret. My father-in-law, there was a secret that always was kept, and he always said it like that. I can't tell you this family secret. Why can't you tell me the family secret? And I'd ask his daughters, what's the family secret? Well, I don't know what the family secret is. I'm like, I'm going to find out what that family secret is. So the summer before he passed away, I finally found out what the family secret was. And it's not that big of a deal, so I don't even share it right now. But the whole thing is I asked him respectfully, I said, I want to write some of this stuff down. Are you okay if I actually write it while you're talking? And he let me do that. That was important for me so that I can now go tell my sons, here was the family secret. And so one of the tips that I'll give people that have never started writing or that want to do things like that is commit to yourself even once a week to take minimum of 15 minutes to start. And then you can amp it up along the way. But take that time and write it actually on your calendar that I'm going to do this on Thursday at 1 o'clock to 1:15 or whatever you decide to do, and start. That is how I actually started working on this memoir. Because it gets complex, and then you start thinking, well, I could go here, and I could go there, and how am I going to put all this together? So just start. Just like that friend of mine told me, just start. Because if you don't, it'll never get done. And then we won't have anything to carry. The other thing I tell people, and they think that's kind of weird, but write your own obituary. Yeah, have you done that? Yeah. And it's like there's nothing wrong with that. It's not I don't believe it's a prideful thing. Some people might see different or whatever, but again, it's that small portion of what do I want to say about what happened in my life. Because to me, it's like, in my life, I don't know what they would say about that section. Maybe they'll just skip over that, I don't know. But I do want. It's a message. That's what I want to know, because now my story is bringing hope into other people's lives. It did beyond what the original meaning of what I wanted to do to retain and get my story down. It's beyond that. God has used it to bring hope into many, many people's lives in different ways. Teachers, very key to teachers. If you read my book, and moms praying, and a struggling marriage. I've been with this, I call him my big city boyfriend, since I was 16 years old. We're still together. I mean, there's so much rich heritage that's brought in this. It's like, don't give up, man. Don't give up. So what else came to your mind? Is there anybody that has something that was given to them or things that they thought of that they want to share?
My grandmother, my father died when I was very, very young, and so she kept those kind of books for us, and for my sister and I. And so when she passed away, well, before she passed away, before she went to the nursing home, she gave me mine. My sister didn't get hers at the time. So that, I have my story, but she doesn't have hers according to that. And it's kind of sad, because I can go through and see where, all the way through high school, she kept it. And
I know.
Just little bits and pieces
of
her life.
Yeah, and how important that is.
Yeah, she saved every letter I ever wrote her. And I'm like, oh, I wrote pretty good in this. Because I witnessed to her. We were not believers. And I got born again, and so I think it was 75, 76. And that's when I started writing these long. Everything I learned, I wrote to her. And she kept every one of them.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So see, we can go back and we can read our own writing. Somebody said that some of that can be negative at times and can create almost like a PTSD thing. I'm there because I've read some of my stuff. It's like, oh! Yeah. But I can also take it as a positive and say, see where I've come from. Man, I've grown. I am not that person anymore. So it's hard to do. I see you had your hand raised in the back there.
Yeah, I have 3 sisters, and 2 of them have, one interviewed my mom and dad many years ago, but interviewed them and got started on their life, kind of. And then another sister wrote little highlights of remember this, remember that, little things like that. So, and both of them have said at the end, keep adding.
Yes.
And
Oh, that's,
and we all have different perspectives and stuff too. So
Right. And there's a lot of crazy relationships that we have in every family. And right now, I have a brother that's close to my age, was my very close friend. But he refuses to speak to me today because of this book. But I did not write anything about him since when we were little kids. I asked the permission of my mom and my dad. This was before, they went to the nursing home and things like that. So my release of information I asked for was from my parents. And they both gave it to me. But he feels like there's too much information about them. And I never mentioned anybody's names or even the locations, except for the Sturgis story. But I'm just saying overall. So that it can make negative relationships in your family too. So I mean, I always kind of give that as a warning because it can happen. It's one of those things. What can I say? Got to have those in your family too.
My mother-in-law just had, well, it wasn't her idea, it was my daughter's idea, but my daughter called her cousins, and all the girl cousins went to Lucille's house, and Amber wanted to make sure she knew how to make Grandma's bran muffins.
Oh.
So they all, and it was so, I was not invited. It was just the granddaughters, but it was so cool looking at the pictures and stuff, and then they were all around the table. They made a really cool lunch together, and it really stuck in my girls' minds. It was a really special time. So I'm just encouraging you guys, if you have a good recipe that you make.
And the other thing that I always say is that you don't, if you walk away from this saying, I'm not going to do any of those, it was cool, interesting little session. But here's the other thing that I tell is like, what kind of story are you, your walk, without even doing anything, what are you telling? Right? So I want to have my boys, my grandchildren say, their mom always carried this flag bag everywhere she went. What did she have in that flag bag? My flag bag goes everywhere with me. What does it have in it? It has my Bible, it has my journal, it has, whatever latest devotional that I'm reading, because I've got several of those. And it's like, where do they see me every single morning? If nothing else, I want them to say, you could always see my mom sitting over there with her Bible, no matter what, she did that. I have no idea what she was reading, no idea but she was always reading. That's the story. So as I end today, every one of you, every single one of you has a story to tell. You just need to make up your mind how you want to share it. So thank you.
I have one question. It's after that beautiful impacting moment. It was beautiful. I've always wondered, did you ever go back to your instructor and thank him?
I did, because he was actually a Christian.
Oh, lay it down.
There's a lot of interesting pieces that God put together.
It's crazy.
Yeah, and my books are available out there if you're interested. $10 at all of them. They're individually $10. So I'd love to have you get them. But yeah, I didn't know what time I was supposed to be done.
Are you
So.
collecting?
Yeah, if you guys you've seen some of these. If you are interested, I'm very active on Facebook. I do posts every day. I do an email probably about twice a month. I do everyday simple tips every Thursday. It's just tips, stuff like how do you dust like this with your sleeve, and I just do fun things under a minute. So I do lots of things. If you go on my website, you'll find all kinds of resources that I offer. So please check it out if you're interested, and follow me. And I don't bombard you with lots of emails. You will probably get several right when you signed up, because, you know, that's business. So thank you guys for coming today. It's been a wonderful retreat and a time with all of you. Thanks for sharing your stories with me too, by the way.